What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 89. This is part 2 of our Week 18 review. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty. We have got 3 matchups that we're going to highlight here. And then I'm going to tell you guys about a little bit of some of the record book stuff that I saw over the last couple of weeks while I was out. Starting it off tonight with us from Denver, Colorado, Jason Ashby. Jason, getting those internet issues straightened out tonight. We are hopeful that we hear all of your wonderful commentary. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm glad I'm back on and we are live and we are good to go. I am ready to break this down and yeah, let's get it going.
Let's get it going. Let's talk once again to our first place team, our commissioner, my best friend, Ben Nisman. Benny, how are you feeling this evening, sir?
Doing great, thanks, Joe. Looking forward to talking about probably the two most important matchups this week, and they were intense. Call it a favorite winning, call it maybe a slight underdog winning. Regardless, uh, it was amazing to watch these two particular matchups happen because they will decide who is in the playoffs ultimately when all's said and done.
No doubt. We still have such an amazing month of story to be told from each and every one of our members here. And let's dive right into this thing. We're going to talk about Mike Sherman taking on Christian Wood this week. Now, Benny, this is one of those matchups that I think we're going to fly through, but let us know here, how is Mike Sherman doing? He is sort of the fiddle in the middle of the 12th team that's not exactly in, but I wouldn't say he's all the way out.
Yeah, fair. For as far as he's concerned, he's out, and it's really about what he needs to change next year. What has been consistently wrong? What has been his bugaboo? How does he turn it around from the championship team he was in 2016? I mean, we all played with 21 ads that year. When you think of the possibilities that you were in that league, Joe, Jason, you were in that league, Mike Haber, Jason Ferraro was in that league, like guys that are going to make a ton of ads. And it ends up being Mike Sherman and Ari Nisman in the final there. But since then, you see Ari as an every other year kind of team. With Sherman, it's been more down than up. So he wants back in next year. He wants things to change, but he knows that there's been an issue specifically with the bullpen. That wasn't necessarily the case this week, but at the same time, his opponent only had 7 relief appearances.
Right, right. Just sometimes things break your way, other times you just get the right opponent on the right week, and this might be one of those situations. As far as Sunday's concerned, Christian led innings pitched, but Mike got that taken care of there on Sunday. Close categories this week, Mike wins by 1 home run, 2 walks, 2 errors, 2 wins, a loss, a save, and a home run given up by a pitcher. That is a lot of close ones there, especially when they're fighting this low in the standings. Christian wins by 3 doubles and the triple. They did not tie in anything. For Mike on his bench this week, Benjamin, how about an 8 for 15?
.478.
It's a 533.
Oh wow, I went the other way.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And now 4 runs, a double, a homer, 5 RBIs, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The only thing that really plays is if you think we'd have to do the math on it and see if any of these 8 hits getting in flips average or on base percentage. I don't think it does, given that it's 20 and 30 points respectively. So none of it really plays. As one move this week, he dropped whatever a Lion Richardson is for Sam Mole, who got him a clean relief appearance in the game that I was at. And his key players this week, the MVP this week is going to be the guy who is now on the IL, Ozzy Albies. 333 with a 400, 8 runs, 3 homers, 13 RBIs, 3 steals, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The dude carried the team. And the Braves have been nasty, so it's certainly a shot to a team that's already struggling to lose one of the best guys.
Yeah.
The least valuable hitter is Jeremy Pena, 125 out of 222, 4 strikeouts, a walk, an RBI, and a run. The Cy Young is, I'm being told here, Japan. Both Senga and Otani were fantastic. 12 innings and 6 innings, respectively. 3 wins combined. Looks like 7 combined walks and 18 strikeouts. Very nice week from them. The Cy Young is Dallas Keuchel, and I have written next here, why? And I tend to agree. Why on earth would you throw Dallas Keuchel this year for Minnesota? Like, is there any particular reason that Dallas Keuchel holds any value at this point? Don't think so.
Even on a Sunday when you need innings and strikeouts and there's basically nobody left, but yeah, no,
But
risky,
no, not with a midweek stream.
No.
He went an inning and 2/3. He got the loss, 2 walks, 32-40 and a 480. I'm surprised he's even still getting a job. Like, he's been bad for a while now.
And he doesn't throw
he had an he had an opt out in his contract in the minors, and he exercised it, so the Twins brought him up so he wouldn't leave, and that's what happened.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, for Christian on his bench this week, he goes 12 for 51.
$228.
It's 235.
Oh, I was going to say 233. It still wouldn't have been wrong, but I would have felt smarter.
With 2 runs, a double, a homer, 5 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 9 strikeouts, and an error. Doesn't look like much plays there as well. The home run is the only thing that really matters. That was on the 11th. It was Max Kepler with Ezekiel Duran out of the lineup. It's more of what we're seeing. Yeah, it's more of what we're seeing out of Christian, where he's missing dudes in the lineup, and
yeah. And generally, we can all agree, more times than not, I don't know if it's 70 or 80%, but more times than not, when something like that, when it's just someone isn't in the lineup, make the easy switch, that will end up coming back to bite you in the final score. Like, that is usually the one that makes the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's never the one where you're agonizing over the decision and they're both in the lineup. No. Yeah. It's the rain out or the late dumb stuff that happens. For Christian's moves this week, he picked up Max Kepler, 1 for 4 with a run, an RBI, and a strikeout. Dropped Carlos Carrasco for Donovan Solano, 2 for 4 with a run, a double, and a walk, and a strikeout. And dropped Brett Beatty for Yohan Moncada. He then later dropped Ross Stripling for Rich Hill, 3 1/3, a loss, a homer, a walk, 4 strikeouts, an 8-10, and a 240 at Arizona. 4 ads used, 3 hitters, and a starter. His most valuable hitter this week, I'm not going to talk about Wander Franco because he's got some stuff going on that I don't want to talk about. So instead, we'll go with Tommy Edman, a 412 average and a 474 on base, 5 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, a walk, and a strikeout. The least valuable hitter is Estuary Ruiz. Jason, you bet you're happy from getting out from under this guy. 071 with an 071, 6 strikeouts, 2 steals, and a run. So even when he needed him, he didn't even need the 2 steals this week. The Cy Young is Logan Gilbert. 7 innings, a win, 12 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0-1-4. And the Cy Young is Drew Smiley. 5 innings, a loss, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 1260, and a 2. Benji, we talked about where Mike Sherman is at. We should probably at least hit on Christian here. Jason, you did the research on this one. Did you see a lot of missing stats from Christian where lineups could have been very easily swapped like what I talked about?
Yeah, it was really the Thursday and Friday were kind of the most egregious of the days. And the one on Thursday, like, he only went 1 for 11 on the bench, so it didn't matter. There were no counting stats, but like, it was clear that he didn't check the lineup. and then Friday, yeah, having that home run with Durant out, and like I checked the times of the game, the start times of the games. They were both around the same time, so like there was time to make the swap. It wasn't like one was a day game and one was a late night, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely the case of a 15th place team, that I can tell.
Yeah. Signs and symptoms are all there. Ben, as a commissioner, how are you feeling here?
Well, I mean, obviously frustrated in what we're discussing, especially when you look at the scheduling and how critical it is going forward. Every single one of Christian's matchups here for the rest of the season have extreme playoff implications. If it's this week that we're going into week 19, it's Kostas, it's you, Joe, in the final week. He's got Frank next week. He's got Henry in the second to last week. So going in order, Costas, Frank, Henry, Joe, all teams going for it. And he'll play the difference. It's going to be who clobbers this guy the most, or can he somehow pull off a win? Going to Mike Sherman's schedule. It's Brian Lebo now, then it's Costas, Ari, then it's Frank. So I hadn't said this last week, but I think it's important to say it now because it didn't happen this past week, but at some point, one of these bottom managers is going to make the difference in this season. One of them in the next 4 weeks will find a way to spoil and win a week, whether it's Ari, whether it's Sherman. Sherman had told me that if not for nothing, he knows he's done, but he wants to spoil. So I believe that he will take that chance against Costas and against Frank. And at some point, Ari, we talked about it yesterday. He used 11 ads. I don't know if it's just because it was against me, but
Definitely.
it's Jason. It's looking tough for you if you're looking at it from a spoil situation. Gotta think either this week against Henry or next week against Joe. Jason's due to win. Like it's gotta happen eventually. And if it's not then, sure, it'll be the last week against me. But it's gonna happen. I mean, it's just the law of averages with the bigs. There's 4 weeks left. A lot can still play.
I agree. I'm concerned about Christian's roster construction now with Jose Abreu hitting the IL, Wander Franco having his issues, and there's still the IL Jordan Romano with a Nate Evaldi that is actually on the IL. So there needs to be a little bit of
Right.
cleanup here on this
Right.
team
And
with
it
some
will, and the
important
first,
pieces.
right. And you know how Yahoo works, that they won't even let you do anything until you pull guys that aren't on the IL anymore. So once he sees it, he'll work quickly, I'm sure, and there'll be changes made as far as that goes. But yeah, it's just, I feel like for you, Joe, there's a bit of concern of when he finally gets it together. And if it's by that time where all of a sudden, all those pieces are good, that puts you in a tougher position than in these first 3 weeks. But I also know that you don't want a cheap way out. If you're going to pull this off, you want to earn it. So there's
Absolutely.
that at least.
Absolutely. And anybody who's in this hunt should be feeling the exact same way. You don't want to win because some guy's not checking his team or because there are pieces in his lineup that are hurt or not available.
Right.
You want to win this the
Or
right
missing
way,
the
the
minimum.
competitive way. Yeah. Oh God, missing the minimum is the worst way to get in. It would be terrible. So yeah, you definitely want to win this the right way. You definitely want to be getting in as
Well,
competitively as humanly possible.
and Ben, you and I talked about this when we talked about your matchup with Brian Lebo. Like he's a guy who is at the bottom of the standings, but he's making it tough. Like he made it tough for you, and even though the result ended up being a 17-2 win, you it was tough, and like so that's what you want from these guys. And I know if or when I fall out of it, like I'm gonna be that guy who's also gonna be making the ads and making the lineup because that's what you want is to be.
All right, guys, let's dive into the two premier matchups that we have for you this episode. We're going to first kicked this thing off with the real important playoff implication matchup that went down and went to an 11-10 nail biter between Bobby Russo and Kostas Paragios. Bobby had 6 relief appearances on Sunday, including 2 on Sunday night, and it's still not enough to get the relief appearance category from Kostas. On Sunday, however, steals were tied, and Kostas did get that taken care of. Let me share my screen here, and we can keep talking about the close categories here. Bobby led on base percentage, and Kostas flipped that as well. Kostas led innings pitched, but Bobby flipped that. Kostas led strikeouts, and Bobby flipped that. So on the whole, close categories, Bobby wins by 2 homers. He wins by 3 RBIs, a walk, 2 1/3, 2 home runs, and 2 strikeouts. Kostas, by the run, 2 steals, 4 ticks on the on-base percentage, a win, and a relief appearance. They did not tie in anything. On his bench this week, Benjamin, Bobby goes 6 for 22.
$267.
273 with 3 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, a steal, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts, along with a Ryan Yarborough relief appearance on the bench that would have tied the category. That the 3 runs also one of them would have tied that category as well.
And by the way, the Yarborough would have tied 2 categories because he also got a win.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah,
that's really rough. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
He only had 2 moves this week. He dropped Ryan Yarborough on Saturday for Cutter Crawford, 4 2/3, a homer, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 386, and an 086. And he dropped some guy named Balzovic for Brandon Pfaadt, 5 2/3, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, a 476, and a 194 against San Diego. Bobby's key players this week. We're going to start with the very delicious and nougat-filled Lars Nootbaar. It's 381 with a 458 on base percentage, 4 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, a homer, 2 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Corbin Carroll this week, 150 with a 190, 4 runs, a double, a triple, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young this week, I've got written here Nola ? With his nice little 5 innings of 1-run baseball. Doesn't look like there was anybody who really stuck out. So I tend to agree that there's a pretty simple answer here as the guy who just gave you the best start. As for the Cy Yuck, could be Clase, could be Balzovic with his 3 innings and 2 relief appearances and 3 earned runs. It could be Bailey Ober. But Bobby pitched. Wow, Bobby pitch to a 450, and there's not really anybody who sticks out as that large a. That's a strange week.
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
We'll get into it more here in a minute. For Kostas on his bench, Benjamin, 2 for 22.
Weapon is that. $088?
091. He is this close every time this week. A run, a steal, 2 walks, and 12 strikeouts. He lost the walks by 1. Was there anything egregious there, Jason?
They were both on the same day. They were both on Friday, but it was an 0 for 5 day with a steal and 2 walks on the bench. But like it wasn't anything. Again, it was just who do you want to play that day? Nothing really egregious.
Okay. For his moves, only 4 of them. He drops Freddie Fermin for Jordan Weems for a clean relief appearance. Drops Lucas Sims for Jake Bird for a clean relief appearance. Drops Jake Bird for Nick Allen over 3 with 2 strikeouts. And drops Nick Allen for Jose Soriano for an inning, a walk, a strikeout, a 9, and a 2. 4 ads used, a hitter, and 3 relievers. For his MVP this week, hey, he held out this long. Welcome back, Trevor Story. 636 with a 667 on base. 3 runs, 4 doubles, 3 steals, a walk, and a strikeout. The least valuable hitter is Nolan Gorman. 167 with a 318, 3 runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, and an error. With a shout out to Jake McCarthy, who's now back in the minors again because Arizona can't figure out what they're doing with this kid. Zach Gallen, his teammate, is going to be the Cy Young this week. 6 innings, a win, a walk, 8 strikeouts, nothing earned in 083. The Cy Yuck, Lucas Sims, who was awful for him. 2/3 of an inning, a loss, a bomb, a 1350 and a 150 and 2 relief appearances. Though he did help me win relief appearances for my matchup this week. Thank you very much, Lucas Sims. Guys, these 2 teams are just this close to playoff berths. Where Benji, I know you're just itching to talk about this one. So where do you want to start, with Kostas or with Mr. Russo?
Start with Kostas, who competed like hell. And when you look at that on-base percentage, I've talked consistently about how Kostas has become a more patient manager. You saw it on both teams here, right? Only 3 ads and 4 ads between Bobby and Kostas. Mm-hmm. And on Tuesday, Trevor Story was activated, but Kostas didn't activate him. 0 for 4, 3 punch-outs. Wednesday, you think maybe he activates him then? No, he doesn't. 0 for 4, 3 punch-outs. He activates him on Thursday, 1 for 3 and a walk. There's your on-base percentage. The waiting to activate him and when he did. And I thought that was humongous. So obviously when you lose by 2 bombs and 3 RBIs, you think maybe there's a way to squeeze him in there. But and not to mention relief appearances, like the way that he was able to grind out to get the runs. Like this was huge. And it was 12-9. And it was looking like it was going to be 12-9. And all of a sudden, Bobby did what he had to do. And it was an amazing, amazing comeback by this guy. I mean, he lost a lot of close stats. I'm sure he's frustrated by that. But at the same time, to turn around from 12-9 and figure out a way to somehow get a victory, because Bobby has to sweat out the rest of this thing. I mean, he's got probably the most challenging schedule going forward. To have to face what I call the 3 WNW matchups in a row, right? Starting with Frank, then Henry, then Joe. And then he finishes with Adam Lowenstein, who I think could be a trap match. So Bobby had to find a way to get something here. I mean, maybe 12-9 is good enough, but 11-10 on the other side feels and is seemingly so much better than what it could have been. I mean, this was an incredible comeback and going to be very, very underrated. Like one of the matchups that we probably talk about for a while. Even if it's Bobby that actually misses out and Kostas is in, the fact that Kostas was able to keep it close here.
And if it does stay this way and Bobby is in and Kostas is out, this is certainly a blow to Kostas when you stare a win in the face and you end up taking a loss. Jason, aside from yourself, let's have you pick between these 2 guys. Which one do you think is really going? Is Bobby the shoe in here and Kostas on the outside looking in, or do you think that Kostas can get into this thing?
This is tough. I do think that Bobby is a shoe in. I think Bobby is in. The rest of it, God, I don't know. Kostas, Frank, you like it. It's anybody's game right now.
Okay. What does Kostas' schedule finish up like, Benji?
I think it goes Christian now. Yeah. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, it's Christian, then Sherman, then Frank, and then Henry.
It's those last 2 that it becomes very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Those could be play-ins.
Absolutely. Seeing Frank versus Kostas in the second to last week is delicious. I love that one.
That's going to be must-see TV.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be after they had both played Christian. So it'll see like where they shape up. after having that, which could be considered a layup for them.
And Henry could be playing for seeding in the final week, trying to get that bye. And Kostas is trying to fight his way in. So that sets up for a really nice matchup too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's seeming like even the matchups that we think are just like, oh, it's just a rollover. At this point, this is when like the surprises actually happen, and all of a sudden, a Matt Losi can take down Ben Nisman in week 20. Like something like that could always happen. So I'm really looking forward to that like huge matchup that we're all going to remember.
Well, perhaps there's another one that we're about to talk about now. Jason Ashby, it's that time, my friend. It's time for you to talk about your matchup with Frank. How are you feeling coming out of this one?
Yeah, not great. Because I was feeling really good in the beginning of the week. I was, was feeling pretty confident, maybe a little overconfident, and then the weekend happened, and things just went to hell.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. It looks like strikeouts by a batter were tied, and Frank took one fewer than you on the day. Losses were tied, and you took one from a pitcher there to give him that category. You did tie up the 3 relief appearance lead that he had, however.
Yeah.
Close categories this week. Frank wins by 3 doubles, the strikeout, the loss, and 5 strikeouts by a batter. For you, Jason, you won by 4 runs, 2 walks by a hitter, the error, the 1 inning pitched, and 1 home run given up by a pitcher. You guys tied in steals, saves, and relief appearances. For Frank on his bench this week, Benjamin, he didn't have any. He didn't have any bench stats. He's back to the
Wow.
no bench strategy. How are we feeling
Yep.
about that?
Well, firstly, I like that it makes you and Jason's lives easier when doing the research. Just like one guy you don't really have to do that for. Probably save some time.
It
But
does.
as far as what I think of it, as far as a strategy, we had discussed how our concern was if an injury happens, how do you respond there? You're going into the free agency and hoping for the next best thing to be a replacement out there. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think he could still make the playoffs with that strategy. Making the playoffs might just be the goal right now, and then once he gets to the playoffs, it's a whole different outlook. But it's going to be tough, man. It's more about the race that he's dealing with than anything. But I don't mind the strategy. If
It's
it's gotten him this far, then give him a shot
uh,
there.
as somebody who just played against it's interesting because, like, as an opponent of him, you kind of look at his team going, okay, this guy's not in the lineup for the game, so he's not going to get those stats. But also, like, that means if the guy goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, he's not getting that either. Like, so like, or like Darno, like on Sunday night, Darno didn't play, so like there was no strikeouts there for him to get. Like, so he didn't have anybody to put in as a replacement. So like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's an interesting strategy because I go, okay, Darno's not in the lineup. Do I bench my catcher and hope that, neither of our catchers get strikeouts? Like, it makes you kind of think a little bit, actually.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. I
Yeah.
hadn't thought
Yeah,
of it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
obviously, anytime you're playing a batter, you're taking the risk of those negative stats that it's dropping your average, that it's dropping your
right,
on base, that you're adding a
right.
few strikeouts. So yeah, that's the logic of sometimes, a Joe Schubert will be like, I'll play with 4 hitters on Thursday. Like you can do that sometimes and be fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about Frank's moves this week. First, he dropped Brendan Bernardino for Ryan Jeffers, 1 for 5 with a 3-run homer and a strikeout. He dropped Chris Murphy for Michael Tonkin, 2 and a third. A homer, a walk, a strikeout, a 386 and a 129. He dropped Danny Colombe for Gavin Williams, who now he apparently has just this absolutely rock hard on for. 7 innings, a walk, 12 strikeouts, nothing earned in 0.29 at Toronto. And he dropped Tyler Stevenson for Aaron Bummer. He dropped Jeffers, Gary Sanchez, and Bummer the next day. Added Jeffers back 0-4 with 3 strikeouts. Good job. That's not the way we do that. And Davis Schneider. This guy got on somebody else's team 0-3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. He dropped Jeffers for Xavier Curry, 5 innings, a homer, 2 walks, 9 strikeout, a 9, and a 160 at Tampa. He dropped Schneider for Tristan McKenzie, who's on the IL. He dropped Xavier Curry for probably the most annoying pickup of the week, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This is Alan Winans, 7 innings, a win, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, nothing earned in 0.86 against our Mets. That was in the doubleheader game where we also threw a minor leaguer and just got shit on. I remember I was on the phone with Frank when he did this, and he was going through each starter that was probable that day. And he's like, oh, this guy? No. This guy? No. This guy? Fuck that. All right, well, I guess it's going to my guy. And he just he added Joey Votto 1-for-7 with a run, a double, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. He dropped Michael Tonkin for Ryan Barucki, an inning and a third, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. He dropped Tom Cosgrove for Brent Suter, who didn't show up. 12 added 4 hitters. 1 hitter was twice, 4 relievers, and 4 starters. His key players, Travis d'Arnaud, 412 with a 444, 2 runs, 3 doubles, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts is the MVP this week. The least valuable hitter is Austin Hayes, a 150 with a 150, a run, and a homer, 3 RBIs, and 8 big strikeouts. The Cy Young this week, I knew it was going to be between these guys, but it kind of has to be Michael Lorenzen when he throws the no-hitter. 9 innings, a win, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an 0.44 whip. The Cy Young is Yuri Perez and Seth Lugo. That makes me smile.
I figured it might.
Jason, on your bench this week, you went 2 for 27.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
0.37? I don't know.
0.74. With 5 runs, a double, a homer, an RBI, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. None of it plays. Well done, sir. One of the best weeks we could possibly see.
Ever.
Thank you.
I mean, that's insane. Insane.
And both hits came on the same day. So 6 out of the 7 days, your bench was just nothing.
That is incredible.
Yep.
Thank you.
He also used all 12 moves. You dropped Alejandro Kirk for Bryce Terang, 1-for-3 with a 2-run homer, a steal, a walk, and a strikeout. He dropped JP France for John Means Business on the IL. He dropped Jordan Westberg for Luke Raley, 1-for-4 with a strikeout. Dropped Andrew Chafin for Sean Manaea, 4 innings, a walk, a strikeout, a 2.25, and an 0.50. Dropped Manaea, Raley, and Chas McCormick for Dean Kramer, 7 innings, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 2.57, and 1.14 against Houston. Jay Jackson, 2/3 of an inning, a walk, a 3 whip, and a relief appearance. Noah Syndergaard, 5 2/3, a win, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 1.59, and a 1.41. That was against Toronto. He dropped Floro, Kramer, and Syndergaard for Ramon Laureano, who's now on the Cleveland Guardians. I didn't know that until just the other day. 1-for-4 with a run and an RBI. He added Randy Vasquez, 3 2/3, a win, a bomb, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 4.91, and a 1.09. And Taylor Saucedo. That's an inning, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. That's Sauced as if he were a Chef Boyardee can. He dropped Vasquez for Yanni Chirinos, who was bad, and finished it off with dropping Lance Lynn for Tyson Miller, who did not appear. Used all 12, 3 hitters, 4 starters, 3 relievers, and 2 bulk guys. The MVP this week is that man, Pete Alonso. 286 with a 483, 6 runs, 4 bombs, 10 RBIs, a steal, 7 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Jazz 190 with a 227, 4 runs, a bomb, an RBI, a walk, and 11 big strikeouts. The Cy Young this week is Dean Kramer, question mark. 7 innings, a win, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 257 and a 114. And the Cy Young is, in fact, Yanni Chirinos because he was bad when you needed him to not be bad. And that was on.
That was on Sunday. That was a Sunday night game. And because, of course, the Braves just stomped all over the Mets all weekend, except for Sunday, when so, like, of course. And, I was tossing between, like, up until the last minute, I was tossing between, do I start Chirinos or do I pick up this Tyson Miller dude? Do I keep Lance Lynn? Like, what do I do here? And it didn't work out at all because I needed I wanted a relief appearance from Tyson Miller. He didn't come in. He came in on Monday, so that was great. It was just a series of shit.
Yeah. And look, you got to give yourself credit here. I mean, Chirino still gets you the innings that gets you that category. You won that category by 1. The fact that you turned out all those relief appearances in order to tie it, that was impressive. I love that the final ad was made on a reliever on the night game, that you waited as long as you could and said, this is the one that makes the most sense. Of course, like there's that good chance that he doesn't come in, but I love the idea and the concept. He hadn't pitched for a while. He just came up. I think this was a really impressive job by you and Frank as well. They both used all ads. It's interesting how the matchup we talked about previously, 3 ads, 4 ads. Here's 2 managers using all 12, all their assets. Jason, you're the one that grinded through this day to day. So tell me how you felt like the way that the matchup kept on kind of vacillating as far as the score, as far as the 2 of you guys exchanging in stats, him leading in stats, that you leading in that certain stat, and how that whole adventure went.
Yeah, it was, and again, like, because I started the week off on fire. Like my offense was going good, my pitching was going good. I was up. I was winning the whole week until Saturday, and I think it was was it Friday? Yeah, it was on Friday. Stephen Kwan hit a triple. It was the first triple of the matchup, and I went, okay, I still have a couple of days to find a triple. We'll see if I can get one. The next day, he hits another triple, and so I'm like, so I texted Frank. I'm like, fuck Stephen Kwan, because, like, to me, that, even though triples are hard to come by, as soon as that second one happened on Saturday, I knew I wasn't getting that stat, and already we were so close that, like, I just felt the whole week just slipping away right there. And between that and then this Alan Winans kid, like, it was just like I just wanted to gouge my eyes out.
Oh man, I remember when he was picking up Winans too. He said, and I'm on the phone with him, and I said, "Really, you're gonna pick up the kid that's going against the Mets today?" And he goes, "If Jason wants to boat race me on innings, then we're gonna boat race on innings." And he almost got you. It took that Yanni Chirino start in order for you to get that back. So it is a point of contention that he was very much fighting for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw it, and that's why, like even, I was waiting on Sunday, and I was driving around working on Sunday, like, trying to keep an eye on, like, what his pitchers were doing, especially like the late afternoon games, the Padres, and things like that, what these guys were doing, so I knew what to do. And I went for it with Trinos because I also figured, he wouldn't get a loss because the Mets can't win the ball game,
Right.
And there you go.
Yeah. But how about the fact that throughout that, he didn't give up 1 home run? So, if he does that, it's even worse. So, okay, so you trade flipping innings and taking the loss and making that a tied no, you take the loss there, but you end up flipping when they were losing. So, I think you still win out with that start. It's like gaining that extra card in Magic the Gathering. Like you're definitely up one there. So I think you were in the right making that decision, especially because the Mets are bad right now. Well, they were bad enough that they couldn't hit a home run off Chirinos. Think of it that way. Like the fact that they couldn't stomp on him enough that he needed to get to that many innings in order, like
Yeah.
he went deep enough into the ball game. So you played it as well, I think, as you could. It's just that Frank, for 92 innings, threw to a 3.42 ERA. Like,
And a
who the
sub one
hell on
whip.
his like why did all of that happen? I mean, Kraft is giving him 7 great innings. Um, he's
I don't.
getting great work out of the bullpen. Like the bullpen was just awesome. Like
Mhm.
basically no one was bad in the bullpen. Like they were the
I
ones
think
that were able to make it
I
so
don't think his
that
whip.
I was going to say that Lugo and Yuri Perez were bad, but the bullpen just overwhelmed all that and made it like it didn't matter as much. So
Mhm.
that must have been frustrating as hell. Just
I don't.
inning here,
I
inning
don't think.
there, putting Strohs in.
Yeah. I don't think his whip went above 1 the entire week.
Yikes.
Like
Yikes.
I kept watching it, and it was 098, 097 the entire damn week. I was like, what can I do with that?
No, no, I mean I get it. You're also your team didn't walk a lot of guys. Like for
Yes.
93 innings and having 41 walks, and because of that reason, you weren't at a strikeout per inning. Like Frank was even over a strikeout per inning. So yeah, it was just going to be tough to compete with his pitching. But I think your offense at least definitely were the reasons why you were able to grab a good enough amount of stats to just at least make Frank just think and work a little bit harder on that side as well. I mean,
Yeah.
if not for nothing, like you made him sweat it out for sure.
Jason, there was one other thing that I noticed, and Frank actually brought it up to me, was that you benched Dylan Cease late in the week, whether it was Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure off the top of
Sunday.
my head.
It was
It was
Sunday.
Sunday.
Was there any thought to actually starting him and not Chirinos? Because that would have gotten you the innings, and I think the strikeouts would have been there as well.
He's been shaky lately, and I wanted to not start him, and because I started Eduardo Rodriguez earlier in the day,
Mhm.
and he wasn't great, so I wanted to wait. So I benched Cease, knowing that I had Chirinos in my back pocket if I needed him for the night game, and so I kind of left it there to see what would happen throughout the day.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, there's the answer for that, Frank. I know you were asking about that, and there's your answer, my friend. Benji, what does the schedule look like as we come toward the end here for Frank and for Jason?
Okay, well, firstly for Jason, it's I mean Jason could probably tell you even better than I could, but I got him. Jason, you keep changing the name of your team. They're hopeless endeavors. Okay. Henry, Joe Schubert, Adam Lowenstein, and then myself. It's
Four
uh
guys in the
it's
hunt.
tough. It's gonna be tough. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think Jason has a W in the next 4 weeks. I'm not sure who it's gonna be. I really hope it's against Henry. But it's gonna happen.
I really hope it's this week and not next week because
Yeah,
it
I
needs
hope
to
it's a
be
Let's
this
tough
try.
week.
one. I'm sorry, Henry. I want that bye so badly. Like he doesn't know this, but a couple of years ago, I told Jason like on a couple of occasions. I don't remember the week that I needed him to win. It was like either week 21 or week 22, but I needed to win in order for me to get the bye, and I said I owed him dinner.
You do, and did
I
he?
know. No, no, and
Oh,
you know what sucks that I totally forgot about it when we were together at the ballpark. Like, that could have worked out great.
yeah, that would have
Or
been
or I
perfect.
could just or I could just be a good friend and offer to pay for his food. But either way, it's a double on that, and it's not double or nothing. You do it again, Jason. It's on, my friend. It's a nice one this time,
All
and
All
right.
it's
Well,
right.
you and Tommy.
Okay.
If
there
if
you
you
go.
want it that way. So
Make it happen. Make it happen,
Let's do it.
Jason. Make it happen
Let's
this
do
week
it.
sorry,
so that
Henry.
so that next week I can beat you and then get into the playoffs even deeper. That's what I'm talking about.
Because I don't think that's a good idea. You should it counts for beating Joe also. Like even if you don't beat Henry, but then you beat Joe, you still get it.
Okay.
Okay. I feel
Jason,
like I'm being fed.
if you had to pick one of those 4 weeks to get a win, which one would it be?
Um, that's a great question. I think I'd have to go with you because earlier in the season you beat me by one stat, and that just irks me. So I want some payback.
All right. All right. Well, it's on then. It's on.
That's when the
I
win
love you
is.
both.
Now,
Yeah,
as for
thank you.
Frank, I know he was wanting to hear us break down the rest of his schedule. So what has he got on the agenda?
Well, we got Bobby Russo now, then Christian the following week, and then Kostas, and finishing off with Mike Sherman. So, yeah, of course, week 21 is the one we're all licking our chops with, as far as the revenge that he would need. I mean, he took a really tough 16-4 loss to Kostas. These teams are very different now. So we're going to see a lot, not just that, the managers in their own way. They played differently throughout this season. And I think that it's just going to be interesting seeing those two strategies. But right now, Frank just has to take care of business against Bobby. He's got to go through that one first before he can worry about the next one. And
Yeah,
fortunately, the next one
this is the
is
one that I
Christian.
would be most concerned about too. Is facing Bobby right now after a big win, a comeback win over Costas this week. Frank needs to continue this bit of a winning streak he's got going on. Get this thing out of the way and look to the final 3 weeks, which have a couple of winnable matchups that could keep him in this hunt. But if he gets blown out by Bobby or he gets blown out by who is the other opponent?
Costas.
Kostas. Yeah, if he gets blown out by Kostas again, it's not going to be pretty. Not going to be pretty at all. Gentlemen, I want to move on quickly to the records that we've set this season. As we did have a couple in week 18, nothing in week 18. We had a bunch in week 17 while I was away. James McCloskey set the record for most runs in a 7-day matchup this year with 52. Matt struck out the fewest times. He tied the strikeout record for fewest strikeouts by a batter at 31. James McCloskey also set the batting average and on-base percentage records for the season. 345 with a 432 on-base percentage over 7 days. Jason, you've got 10 wins, my friend. That is the most on the season. There it is.
Wow.
And Kostas tied his own records with 9 saves. Oh, and he got the most relief appearances in a 7-day matchup with 27. Yeah.
Costas did?
Costas, yeah.
Oh my God. And that was week 17.
That was week 17, yes.
Okay.
The only other record that was out there, which was for futility, Brian Lebo, an 8.39 ERA and a 186 whip in week 17. Yuck.
Yeah.
All right, boys, managers of the week. Let's kick this thing right off. Benji, who you got at number 3?
Joe, you're my third manager of the week. I realize it's a last place team, but my God, I just felt like you'd think if there was ever a time where a guy needed to win by this much, it would be Joe Schubert to pull it off. I feel like no matter which roster you were playing with, Joe, whether you were using mine, whether you were using Jason's, your own, you were going to find a way with that roster to get as big of a win as this. This is where I always have that fun debate with Jason and you as well, deciding on what is the big sport luck or skill by a ratio. And I think I'd agree if you say that there's more luck than skill in fantasy baseball. But the bigs, it's a whole different story. And when you're playing with that many statistics and you have all the ads and the inning minimum, it's a whole different animal completely. And I think that this matchup with this kind of lopsided score and this skilled manager versus that skilled manager, this shows how much skill there is in this game that we play.
Well, I thank you for the number 3 position there. I am just happy to be back in this hunt and to be making this story even more interesting yet again. Jason, who do you have at number 3?
Yeah, for all those reasons and more, it's you as well. And to just to piggyback on that real quick, it is a lot of luck because it's baseball and you don't know what's going to happen. But I will say that yes, those top teams, Joe, Ben, Mike, Bobby, like these are skilled managers. Like it takes a certain breed of managers to be in that thin air up there in the top, and you guys do it year after year after year. So yeah, there's definitely a modicum of skill involved.
Well, thank you for the number 3 slot. I'm going to go ahead and throw James McCloskey out there as number 3 for much the same reason you guys are giving me for my credit over Matt Losey. But I'm going to kick it up a notch and say that when you beat a manager that's a little bit more skilled than Brian Lebo and you put up that big a number, when you are fighting for every single statistic you possibly can to try to make these playoffs again, that's the type of matchup we needed to see. It was the second largest. What am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Margin of victory. Margin of victory. That's the one. Second largest margin of victory on the week, and it certainly catapulted him up. So he's got my number 3 vote this week. Benji, who's your number 2 this week?
Yeah, it's one that we discussed in this review. It's Bobby Russo finding a way to turn around that 12-9. It was pretty awesome just to see him pull that off. I mean, it's something that I had like the gut instinct that he was going to do, but to see it actually happen was pretty amazing. Really, really impressive comeback. And the fact that he only used 4 ads.
Yeah, 4 ads, and he is able to flip this thing on Kostas right at the end. He's also my number 2, so that's why I'm just sort of piggybacking here. It was a great, great win for him to keep Kostas right there in the thick of things and keep him safely up in the top 4. Jason, who do you have at number 2?
I really want to get Bobby in here, but I had to give a credit to Henry for sticking it to Mike Haber, who I don't know, if he was just kind of coasting because he knows that he's kind of in that playoff field. But regardless, when you beat a manager like Mike Haber and kind of cement yourself in that playoff picture, I got to give a call out.
Strong call out. Strong call out. In fact, it's one too early for me. Like I have Henry at number 1 because of this win over Mike Haber. Ben, are you feeling the same way?
Yes, absolutely. Henry was my number 1. Amazing, just incredible too. I mean, especially because Mike got him so good earlier in the season. For Henry to respond like this, he had him in check the entire week, and then Mike finds a way to close it up to a tie. But Henry pulls off that big Sunday. Just the fact that it seemed like Henry had this in hand the entire week is the most impressive part about it. That he was just it was really like he had turned a corner as far as the season goes. And where earlier in the season, you're like, I don't know if Henry can win this matchup against you, me, Jason. He beat all 3 of us, and he's telling us, I'm just going to hope to keep it close. Okay, and then every week he's getting a little bit better. And then this is probably the most impressive thing that he's done all season, unless it's 21-0 against my brother.
I mean, there have been some impressive moments from Henry this week, but Jason, who gets to usurp him as the number 1 spot this week for you?
You know what? It's our commissioner. He, he look, watching what you did again, sneaking up to the minimum, doing what you had to do to beat your brother and bypass everybody and sit on top of the clubhouse. Like it's just it's again, it's that skill level. It's not even luck. It's not even what your guys are doing. It's what you're doing, and you're pulling the right strings. I know sometimes there's things you say you do that makes you bang your head against the wall, but I look at it as, a bit of genius. So congrats to you on being a number one and stamping your ticket into the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned.
Nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was an important win. And coming off the matchup against Brian Lebo, it was sort of important for me to continue that momentum. But yeah, I still look at it as that there was a lot of stats left out there for me to grab that I didn't play great. I felt the fact that Ari had the 7 ERA and around 201 or something in his batting average. Those two stats weren't going to be tough to beat. But I mean, I do appreciate it. I obviously worked as hard as I could. And this was a week that Ari used 11 ads. So, like, if not for nothing, like, I did have to work up against that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to highlight, was the fact that you got the week that Ari really put all of his chips in the middle. He was dead
Yeah.
focused on, I'm going to beat my brother this week, and he sure did not. So congratulations to Henry for the number one spot, Benji for yours as well.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Thank you,
being
Jason.
here with us tonight. Jason, thanks for toughing through this one. And hey, I think we might have gotten the internet figured out.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Yeah, I'm glad we got it figured out, and I'm gonna sit back and fight as hard as I can. But I can't wait to see how these last 4 weeks play out. This is gonna be the most thrilling, exciting 4 weeks we might ever see.
It really might be, and we're going to see one hell of a finish. I don't think anybody's going to have a position locked up like we see in years past. I don't think we're going to see somebody with the number one position locked up and have a playoff berth 2 weeks before the end of the season this year. That's just not going to happen. Benji,
No.
you're that guy sitting on top of the world right now. How are you? Are you ready for what is going to be an onslaught to your kingdom over the next 4 weeks?
I'm not. Short answer is no. I'm not ready. I'm obviously excited about everything. Jason put it very eloquently that this could be the most exciting 4 weeks that we've ever had. And isn't it funny that we seem to say the same thing all the time, right? In 2020, there were a bunch of guys going for the eighth spot. And then in 2021, of course, we had that incredible finish in the tie. And then last year, you had me and you had my brother and you had Christian. There was and Frank all the way till the end. There was all these crazy races last year, and here we go again. We always manage to one up ourselves each year. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all the competition. Everyone has been so incredibly consistent with their participation, and that's what makes this league incredible. Every single time, every single year, we do it again and again and manage to one up ourselves, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you guys for all being here. Benji, thank you for creating what has become something so much bigger than each and every one of us, but so much bigger than what you have created and what you ever thought this would become. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
guys
Thank
all
you.
for being here with us and telling this story each and every year. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. Until next time, guys, it has been real. It has been fun. And we are just 4 weeks away from the playoffs and the bigs. It's always real fun. We'll see you next time.